She's back. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time here. My name is Brenda and I used to be a DACA recipient and now I am a green card holder. Yay! I'm officially legal. Well, in the eyes of the US immigration system, I am officially a legal permanent resident. Although I don't really like using the word legal because I feel that no one on this planet Earth is an alien nor an illegal person. But, you know, in the eyes of just the US immigration system, I'm now considered legal. I know it's been a while since I posted a long form video. Believe me, I know it's been a while and I've been trying my best to record and edit and I just haven't had the time. I've only been posting on my TikTok, and anything I post on TikTok, I go ahead and also post on Instagram. If you follow me on TikTok, you already know my whole journey, but if you don't, go ahead and follow me. I'll put my @ right here. Also, I'm sorry for the background noise. You might hear my kids screaming in the background. They are with my husband in the living room, but it's really close to my room. So let's go back to what this video is about. So I am trying to share my green card interview experience with you all in hopes that it can ease your anxiety and your stress levels, because I know how nerve-wracking it can be those weeks and days before your interview. I did not sleep for 3 days straight before my interview. I feel like I was just tossing and turning, and I honestly did not have an appetite. I feel like I did not eat that well either, but hopefully watching this video helps you ease your anxiety a bit. I know maybe your nervousness is not going to go out the window, but at least you get an idea of what to expect, and hopefully you get a positive and smooth experience, because that's exactly what I got, and hopefully you can too. Before I go into my interview experience, I do want to give you guys a quick recap of my process. So I did file my whole entire adjustment of status packet back in February of 2025. It was marriage-based. Again, I had DACA. It took probably, what I would say, 2.5 months to get an interview notice. And then I got my interview for June 2025, but then it got rescheduled a week before my actual interview to August 1st of 2025. I do live in Los Angeles, so during June, you know, there was a lot going on. I'm not going to say the word because I don't want to get flagged. I don't know how that works, but you know what was happening in LA. It was very intense, and you know, it's still happening all around the US, but it was a very intense moment. My anxiety levels were really going up the roof. So I decided to hire an attorney just for my interview, just to ease those, you know, anxiety levels. Honestly, you don't need an attorney present in your interview, especially if you file this all on your own. I mean, if it gives you a peace of mind and you have the money to pay an attorney, then go for it, because I think that's what helped me. It did help me get a peace of mind. But besides that, the lawyer doesn't really do much unless you have a complicated case. Then they definitely will help you with that. If you have any type of criminal background or just anything that's complicated, then you definitely do need an attorney. Other than that, I made sure I uploaded some unsolicited evidence in my USCIS account prior to my interview. I think it was actually the day before my interview that I went ahead and did that. I also made sure I made a copy of my whole entire adjustment of status application. I took that with me along with original documentation like birth certificates, marriage license, things like that. Obviously, my identification, which was my driver's license, my passport, my last 2 EADs, which was the work permit under DACA, and also the work permit under adjustment of status, which was the C09 category. I also brought my husband's US passport along with his driver's license. So when we first arrived to the federal building, we actually went into the main entrance and they told us that we actually had to go through like this other door around the building. So we went ahead and went around the building. There were security officers there. We went ahead and handed our interview notice. And we actually arrived probably like 2 hours before our actual interview, just, you know, to prep. And we were going to meet with our attorney at the cafeteria, which was actually level 2, I believe. So we waited in the cafeteria. We met with the attorney and he was just kind of asking us, you know, some brief questions. So our interview was at 1 p.m., but we met with the attorney around 12:20 p.m. and then we headed upstairs around 12:30. I think it was floor 6. So we headed upstairs to the, to the room. And then once we arrived there, there was like a reception person, and I handed over my interview notice along with my driver's license. And she also did my fingerprints. And then she told me to have a seat, and then they were gonna, call us up in a bit. I was just about to sit down when the officer called my name, and I was like, whoa, I didn't even have time to process that I was sitting there, So we went ahead, followed the officer to her office. I remember seeing her office. There was a lot of papers. It looked like a typical corporate office. There was about 3 chairs in there. I sat on one, my husband sat on another one, and then our attorney sat right behind us. Before she even asked us any questions or anything, the first thing she said was that our application was really straightforward and that there was a lot of strong evidence, and that if it was up to her, she would have waived our interview, but that right now it is pretty much mandatory for her to set up interviews for marriage-based adjustment of status applications. So when she said that, I was like, oh my God, like in my head, of course. I was like, oh my God, like we are approved. Like literally, we are approved. She hasn't even asked us any questions and we are literally approved already. That was such an exciting moment. So she said, but I have to do some routine questions because I do have to do the interview. The first thing she did was put us under oath, and we said some things. We repeated what she said, and saying that we're gonna say the truth, but nothing but the truth. Then she had us sit down again. She told us if we can give her our identifications, and we went ahead and handed our driver's license. So my husband and I gave her our driver's license, and she looked at them, and then she went ahead and started the questions. And she actually directed them to my husband, and she said, I'm only going to ask you a couple questions. I don't have to ask you guys anything about your relationship because you have very strong evidence, so I'm not even going to ask about that. I'm just pretty much going to ask him a few questions and then focus on you. That's what she said. So the first question that she asked my husband was, what is your full name? What is your address? What is your date of birth? And then once he answered that, she went ahead and said, okay, I'm not going to ask your husband anything else. I'm just going to redirect all the questions to you. So she asked me the same question she asked my husband. What was my full name, my date of birth? And then when she asked me about my address, you guys, I cannot believe I screwed up my street address with like my zip code. I don't know what I did. I was just so nervous and excited and everything in between that I screwed that up, but I immediately corrected myself, and she was just like, okay. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. After that, she asked kind of both of us if we still worked at the same companies that were listed in our application. We both said yes. And then she asked me if I had my expired work permit cards because, with DACA, you have a new EAD card every time you renew. So I said I didn't bring them with me. I did have them home, but I didn't, bring them. She said that was fine. The next question she asked me was how many times I had entered the United States. Then after that, she said, okay, I'm just going to be asking you some questions on the form I-485. And then we're going to be pretty much done. And I said, yay. She told us she wasn't going to take that long since, we had very strong evidence and that she was going to try to make it quick. So the first question she asked on the I-485 form was, have you ever been denied admission to the United States? Second, have you ever been denied a visa to the United States? Third, are you presently or have you ever been removal, exclusion, recession, or deportation proceedings, including expedited removal? 4, have you ever been arrested, cited, or charged with a crime? And I'm going to stop there because this question says, have you ever been arrested, cited, or charged with a crime? I've never been arrested. I've never committed any type of crime. But I said yes to this question because she included cited, and I've had some parking citations. So I said yes, that I've had like 2 parking tickets, for like leaving my car out in the wrong side of the street during like sweeping days. And I had a toll citation for getting on the fast track by accident, and that was like $8. So when I mentioned that, she said, oh, that toll citation, I'm not going to count it. I'm just going to count the parking citation. So I said, okay, that's fine. The fifth question she asked was, have you ever worked without authorization? I said no because I started working after I received DACA. I had just graduated high school, so I actually didn't start work until after I started college. I had DACA already, but there have been a lot of people who did work without an authorization before, having DACA. Number 6, have you ever falsely claimed to be a U.S. citizen in writing or any other way? 7, have you ever failed or refused to attend a removal proceeding? 8, have you ever submitted altered, fraudulent, or counterfeit documentation to a U.S. government official to obtain an immigration benefit? 9, have you ever knowingly helped someone enter or try to enter the United States illegally? Have you ever voted in violation of U.S. laws? These are the questions I was asked. It was about 10 questions. They are all on the I-485 form, so you can go ahead and check them out there. You want to make sure you are being honest. You don't lie. You never want to lie to an immigration officer. I know a lot of people are nervous about that, working without an authorization. Again, I didn't work without authorization because I had DACA. Please just be honest based on your situation. And she did ask me how I wanted my name to be displayed on my green card because I do have a middle name. So I did tell her I wanted my name to be exactly how it's shown on my driver's license. So my first name, middle name, and last name. And she told me she was going to go ahead and note that in her computer. After she pretty much asked that question, she asked kind of like a personal, fun question of where we are going to travel for the first time after, getting our green card approved. And then she said, congratulations, to expect my green card within a week or 2 after that. She didn't hand any type of form to us. And yeah, we left. My attorney said congrats, and he left. And then my husband and I took some pictures at the federal building with the flags, and I'll post it right here so you guys can see. And right when we exited that building, I just started crying and crying and crying, and I just couldn't believe it that we pretty much got approved on the spot. I called my mom immediately. I was like crying and on the phone. She was like, ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? And then I finally told her that I got approved, and I think I scared her a little because I was literally just crying before I even told her I was approved. We got back home, we celebrated, and it was a wonderful day, victorious day, and I am so happy and grateful that it went super smooth and that all that hard work paid off. So again, if you have DACA, you haven't done advanced parole, please do advanced parole now. It will give you a legal entry. And if you're already married to a U.S. citizen or have a child over 21 who is a U.S. citizen, you can do adjustment of status. Obviously, there's other eligibility criteria. There's so many of us who have been traveling with advanced parole even during these times and have successfully re-entered the U.S. So please don't let fear stop you, because fear is what stopped me for so many years to even apply for advanced parole, get my legal entry, and then apply for adjustment of status. So please don't wait any longer. Do it today. Do it now. Get informed. There's so many Facebook groups that you can join that are very supportive, and a whole community of DACA recipients who are going through the same thing you are and the same thing that I was going through, that I went through. So please do it. I'm really hoping this video helped, and I'm wishing you guys the very best. Remember, no hay mal que por bien no venga, y que Dios los bendiga a todos. And I hope to see you on the next video. Bye.